I'm Pouline Middleton. I'm a love coach, and I'm appearing on Carry on Harry show, and we're going to be talking about love in a different manner. It will be dealing with some quite challenging issues, but also it will be telling you about a very fun new model that you can use to find the love that you long for. It's based on my book called One Woman, Three Men, and you can also read more on modernloveandsex.com.
Thank you for joining Asia's best radio station.
Download latest podcasts of Carry on Harry Show on iTunes.
Now shake hands with celebrities on Singapore talk show Carry on Harry.
Inviting music composers, producers, artists on board on Carry on Harry Talk Show for connecting you to worldwide audience. Write to Harry Johal at carryonharry.com or visit www.carryonharry.com for more details.
Hi friends, welcome to yet another episode of Carry on Harry Talk Show with your talk show host Harry Johal, and I am today really very excited to introduce my guest Pouline Middleton, who is joining us from Denmark. Well, she is a love coach, she's an author and expert. Today we are going to discuss a wonderful book that she has written, One Woman, Three Men, which is based on a three-men model. So what is this three-men model, and how did she decide about writing a book based on this particular model? What was the process? Because I'm very much sure that it would be very unique process by which this book has been written. So let's get in connection with Pouline and get to know more about the personality, the author, the book writing process on the show Carry on Harry with your host Harry Johal. Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
hi there.
Hi, Miss Pouline. A very warm welcome to Carry on Harry's show. I was really expecting to connect with you because the expertise that you hold really requires a lot of media coverage, because people are failing in relationship and there's nobody to help them out unless they meet people like you who are expert in dealing up with breakups, relationship problems, and other things.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Harry, for having me. I'm excited to be talking with you.
Well, fantastic. So, ma'am, before we really, discuss the complexities of relationship and your wonderful book, I want to, know more about you. Since how long you have been, writing up the books and also, coaching people about relationships, and what sort of things do you do?
Yes, I lived with the model myself for 2.5 years, and then a couple of years later I wrote a book about it. And when the book came out, I was, overwhelmed by the number of people who contacted me. Mm-hmm. And since I was already a coach, I decided to, become a love coach.
Wow.
And, advise people on the many different issues that arise in relationships. Because I saw that many people were struggling with getting the love life that they actually was happy about.
Correct. Do you think that these problems have come more into the modern society than, a couple of years back? Let's say we walk about 50 years back. What is your analysis and research about this particular, aspect?
Yes, I definitely think that the situation of relationships today is quite different. Because back then there were some strict expectations from your family. There were some limitations, as to what you could do. But over the past 50 years, we've got more and more personal freedom. We've got freedom of choice. We have gotten the internet that tells us all about many different possibilities. But we have failed to actually give people tools to how to maneuver in this world of many choices and many wishes. So that's what I'm trying to do, to give you a tool so you can find out, okay, what is actually important for you in your love life. Not what is important, what society thinks you should live, or how your parents may expect you to live, or how your friends are living. It doesn't matter. It's what is important for you. And that takes, a little while to define that. But once you have that definition, it's a really strong tool to also get the love life that you're longing for.
Correct. Do you aim at traditional format of, dating, or do you, advise people to go in for, more modern kind of, dating concepts? And how do you think that this transforms, the society?
I think that, there are many different ways of dating, and I think people should use the tools that fit to them. Some people like internet dating, other people like mobile dating with Tinder and other apps like that, but some people don't like that. And then, they should, mobilize their friends and family to get them into contact with single people that may fit what they're looking for.
Correct. You have mentioned a term called conscious dating, conscious love. What exactly do you mean by conscious dating and conscious love?
Well, it means that you let go of all the expectations and allow yourself a period of time where you find out what is important for you. Most of the time when you let go of expectations, what happens is that there is a vacuum. Nothing is happening. And then people get scared, so they run back to the expectations that they know. But what I urge people to do is, let go of the expectations, sit down and try to define what is good in a relationship for you. What do you like? What do you feel really good about? What makes you feel loved? What kind of love? How would you like to give love? Describe it as much as you can and make lists of it and so on. And that's what I coach people in doing. And then once, it normally takes about a month or 2 months to actually define what are the most important things. And then I ask people to prioritize. Because what often happens with this freedom of choice, where there are so many things you can do, we tend to put too many wishes on our list. And the consequence of that is that we are never satisfied, because we're just constantly, trying to fulfill something more and something more and something more. So a conscious approach is identifying what is important for you, prioritizing, and then using that to go out and find the match that you're looking for.
Correct. You have discussed a very unique concept of 3 men, approach towards, understanding, your personal, choice about the type of the person you want to date. Tell us about, what is this 3 men model system?
Yeah, it was a model that I invented when my love life was really in ruins. I was very unhappy after a divorce and a boyfriend who was cheating on me. And then I said, okay, I need to kind of do things in a different manner. Mm-hmm. So after I had made my list of all the areas that I wanted, I identified the 3 most important ones. And for me, it was a guy to talk with, it was a guy to a lover, mm-hmm. and it was a handyman. Mm-hmm. And then I decided, when I was sitting there looking at these 3 areas, I said, okay, maybe I will try to actually date 3 men at the same time. I'll date a guy I can talk with, I'll date a lover, and I'll date a handyman. And then I'll be able to identify, where does it go wrong? Mm-hmm. Because when you continue to be in the same or act in the same manner as you've done so far, you tend to not find out where things go wrong. And you tend to reproduce the same kind of consequences that you are frustrated with today. So it was a way of forcing myself to experience love and attraction and relationship possibilities in a different manner. It was really fun.
Yeah, it sounds fun, but I'm very much sure that it was not a very, easy thing for anybody to handle, dating 3 men at the same times. Before I really, dig this question, at that time, was this in your mind that you will be, listing all these experiences of dating 3 men, which will, in future be, written in the book format, and which will also help other people to understand from your experiences? Was this thing in your mind before you really started dating those 3 guys?
No. I was keeping a diary, but that was also because I needed to kind of, keep my mind clear. because when you're dating three guys at the same time, it wasn't the same three guys all the time, you know. The handyman, for instance, he had signed up. The first handyman I dated, he accepted the role, but he was accepting it hoping that it would lead to sex. And then after 3-4 times we had met, and, you know, I said, no, you know, it's not going to lead to sex with you and me. Then he said, then I don't want to come anymore. And then I had to go find a new handyman. So, you know, there was a lot of logistics and so on going on. But it was really good in the sense that, you know, normally when you go on a date, you can feel quite vulnerable.
Correct.
You know, because you have been emailing back and forth, you've maybe been talking on the phone, and now you're going to meet this person. And you want to quickly find out, okay, are we a match or are we not? But, you know, when you're dating three guys, you have much less time to actually interpret what does that mean, or is he the right guy for me, or am I the right woman for him? You know, it's much more forces you to stay in yourself instead of trying to interpret the relationship potential. So it's really, it reduces your vulnerability by having more than one date at the same time.
Correct.
And I've seen that was not only an experience I made. I've seen it also when I've coached people who are dating more than one person after, you know, the one woman, three men model. I see it that they are just less vulnerable, and they get to know a lot about themselves and what is important and what is not important, and also about the opposite sex or the same sex if they prefer to date same-sex people. But, you know, you learn a lot about the other by actually forcing yourself to get out of the comfort zone and try something for a period. Because also it was not something that I was thinking I was going to do forever.
Correct.
You know, it was something, you could say it was like a test or a social experiment I made. I figured, okay, I'll try this for a while and then we'll see how it goes.
Correct. So in this three model, you know, which model was most difficult to handle for you?
Well, none of them were difficult. What was difficult was maybe the men. And of course, you know, one of the issues that was there was jealousy.
Correct.
Because, you know, the men knew that they were not my only date, that I was also seeing other guys. And you know, a couple of times the men just had to check out of the model and say, you know, I'm leaving because I cannot deal with this. And I also got challenged a couple of times, you know, because I was, like in the beginning, I was quite strict with the roles. I said I have a talker, a lover, and a handyman. But then, you know, after a couple of months, I got really attracted to the talker. And we had a bottle of wine, I was talking, and, you know, we just had a great time, and I really felt like making love with him as well. And then I was thinking, okay, is that all right? Because he's the talker. And then I figured, well, you know, I never promised the lover exclusivity. He didn't promise me exclusivity either. So if the talker and I wanted to make love, we could just make love. And so we did.
Correct. It's quite revolutionary, you know, the way that, you know, what has been, you know, went into writing up a book. At any stage, you felt like, you know, emotionally, you know, affected by what all is happening in your, you know, that particular period when, you know, all this three-man model was into implementation. Did it somewhere, you know, emotionally affect you, since you came from a breakup earlier, you know, where you were cheated in a relationship? What was your psychology at that time?
Yeah, I was quite, you know, I was not very stable and feeling great when I started, but emotionally it affected me in a number of ways. It affected me quite quickly, gave me a sense of, hey, this is great, this is really fun. I'm taking charge, because I was actually switching my position from being, you know, one woman trying to live up to one man's expectations. I was changing that to three men trying to live up to my expectations. So, you know, you could say I empowered myself in love. And that really helped me, you know, get out of the bad emotional situation I was in.
Correct.
And then I also got to respect men some more because already, when I was in dialogue with the men on the online website there, we got to have some interesting talks. Because I said many of the men who responded to my profile, they say, "Oh, woman, you are very lucky because I'm a 3-in-1. I can fulfill all your 3 roles." But then I said, no, in order to go on a date with me, you need to choose one of the roles. And that challenge, made it possible to actually say, okay, well, some guys, they said, okay, I'm all for the sex part. But most of the guys said, well, I need to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they thought about it and got back to me and we were on a date, there was something interesting to talk about, which was not only who are you and who am I and are we a match. We could talk about the model and how I got the idea and why he chose that role and was he also considering one of the other roles and so on. So I got to have some very respectful and interesting meetings with men, which was excellent.
Fantastic. It's really, eye-opener for me, like, what you are telling, about the writing concept, because I have never come across any book, written in this process where is just like you mentioned earlier, is a social experiment which you have done to gain an insight and understanding about the complexities of relationship. At what stage did you decide that you will be, drafting this into a book format which will serve as a guideline for people to understand about relationship? What stage was it that you decided to write 1 Woman, 3 Men?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't tell anybody about my model because I wasn't sure it was going to work, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. So I didn't want to have to, be responsible to explain it to anybody. But already after a couple of weeks and some really good dates, I started talking to people. I talked to my 2 best girlfriends. And one of them, she was like shocked, and she said, "Oh my, what are you thinking of? This is going to ruin your reputation." And stop it immediately. And I said, "No, it's too fun, I won't stop." Whereas my other friend, she said, "This is fantastic. If you have any extra men that you don't like, send them my way." So it was really interesting to see these 2 different reactions. And then I started telling people about it. When I was out at dinners or meeting people and they asked me if I was married or something, then I told them about my model. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing the amount of interest I got from people. They wanted to hear more, they wanted to meet with me, they wanted to tell me all about their love life and the challenges that they were facing and so on. So I felt that there is a need for us to become much more conscious about love and also to allow ourselves to actually explore the scene of love more than just, trying to, now I'm single, I want a partner, and I'm just going the traditional steps. No, I think many people could benefit from allowing themselves to be a little more daring in love and then to become more conscious of what actually is happening.
Absolutely wonderful information I'm getting, from you. Okay, at what stage, you did decide that apart from writing up this book, you will also, be transforming yourself into playing up as a love coach, guiding people about relationship and boosting the relationship. What was that stage?
Well, that was after the book came out in Denmark, which is my home country. Then there were so many people contacting me that I set up this coaching business. And then in my private life, I had also, after I had dated these 3 men for a year and a half, what happened was that I fell in love with a handyman, and he fell in love with me. And then I was with him for 2 years, but then he moved to another part of the country, and I couldn't follow him, so we broke up, and then I went back to my model for a year. And then after that year, I sat down and said, okay, now I need to look at my experiences. What have I learned? What have I actually, what is my experiment telling me? And then I found out that it was telling me, yes, I need to find a boyfriend that likes to talk because I like to talk. I also need to find a boyfriend who thinks that sex is important. Whereas the handyman stuff, well, we can more easily hire somebody if we need that done. So that's not as important as the other two. But then there was a new element that was important, and that was the fact that I'm a writer and I do research, and so every now and then I'm kind of I bury myself in my writing process, and I needed a man who was fine with that. Mm-hmm. So and then when I had these three new roles defined, then I started dating to find just one man. And it was a very different dating like that, because I was able to stay with myself and not to start making romantic constructions in my head already at the first meeting. I said to myself, well, what is he actually saying? What is the reality about him and me? Let's not, dive into some dream right from the start. Stay in reality. And then the 10th guy that I met, we were immediately attracted to each other and fell in love. And 4 months later, we moved in together, and a year later, we got married. So today, I'm married and living in a monogamous relationship.
That's great to know that, after the search, and at the same time putting that search into, a very constructive format, that you have, yes, set up a kind of a formula, or to understand, the complexities of relationship and guiding out people through your coaching sessions and also through the book itself. It's a wonderful thing. I would say that, that at least those experiences have not gone wasted. They have been done to, constructively add something, unique to people's life. There are a lot of people struggling with, bad relationship or broken relationship or unable to search the right kind of a person in their life. So when it comes to reading the One Woman, Three Men, what can a reader expect? Is it about love? Is it about sex? Is it about what exactly? How would you define the structure that it will lead to what? What is the ultimate destination towards the last chapter?
Well, it is all of the above. Because we follow the main character called Elizabeth, and we follow her quest to actually, go and do the same things I've done with setting up a dating profile and so on. And then we follow what happens in her life, and then we read about her reflections on it and her emotions. What does it make her feel like? What does it do to her? Where does she get to be really sad, and where does she get to be really happy, and so on? Mm-hmm. And she gets to have quite a number of very different experiences. So you could say it's very much a do-it-yourself book if you want to try to challenge yourself in love in order to solve some of the issues that you have. And it's also just a good story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Fantastic. Anywhere the shades of Elizabeth in your book, resembles you or any person around you?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's based on a true story, as they say in Hollywood.
Correct. So, like you mentioned that it has got a story and is also like, do-it-yourself kind of an approach. Have you done some sort of, questionnaires within the book itself towards the end of each chapter where, a person can really discover about where the fault lies within himself? Is it done that way?
No, it's not a handbook like that. It is a novel, so it's a story. I'm actually working on making a handbook, so that will come out within the next couple of months. I think but it's not available yet.
It would be a good idea to have like a workbook, where after reading out, the entire novel, whatever people have learned, they can, really challenge their mind to, answer those questions listed out by an expert like you. Who has come up with this unique concept of a three-man model in your book, One Woman, Three Men. Right now, this book is available on what all platforms?
Well, it's available on Amazon, and I have my own website, which is called modernloveandsex.com. Mm-hmm. That's modernloveandsex.com, and there you can read the first 3 entries in Elizabeth's diary, where she tells about her situation. And you can get a feel for the story. And you can also, follow my blog and read more about me, or book me for a Skype coaching session.
Correct. I would encourage my listeners that do pay a visit to modernloveandsex.com. Right now, our expert guest, Pouline Middleton, is discussing the One Woman, Three Men, the book, which is like a revolutionary book in terms of understanding, what sort of different sort of, dating and love models that we can have and experience. And a lot of insightful things for me also to understand, because this sort of a concept I have never discussed, especially the writing process, that you adopted. So for you, Ms. Middleton, are you also, have you already started to work on some more concept or any sequel to this particular book?
Well, presently I've just been on a 1-month book tour in the United States. So right now I'm really busy following up all the contacts and so on. But in the fall, I'm working on this handbook, and that will be the next book that comes out. So, and that will be in a couple of months, I think August or something.
That would be great. So if I ask you, give us a few tips, especially for, those teenagers, who meet on internet and they fall into like sort of a relationship. What would be your tips for them? Any few tips that you would love to share?
Well, I urge people to stay with themselves. When you're teenagers, of course you are curious about many things. So you will undoubtedly do some things that you say, okay, I won't do that again. But, pat yourself on the shoulder and say, okay, well, I did it. I tried it. It wasn't me, or it wasn't a very good experience, and now let go of it. But then, stay with yourself, your own priorities. I think a lot of people, or I don't even just think it, I know it because they come in my practice and ask for my advice. And that is people who are saying, okay, well, I'm either really frustrated by love, and then we go down that road, or they are actually kind of okay, but they are, their relationship is like okay, but they are not really very engaged in it. And then and also teenagers can, go through life not really engaging. And if you want to have a deep love life, a deep emotional bond with another person, you need to engage. So do yourself the service of finding out what's important for you, and then go out and signal that as clearly as you can to possible partners. And then, go back and reflect, think, feel, evaluate whether you've had a good contact. And if you have, then meet again. So it's some of the things are more simple than they sound, and some of the simple things can also be quite complex. But it all starts with you being grounded in what you would like and not settling for less.
Correct. One question, has come to my mind, while you were, defining about, these tips for the youngsters. Do you think somewhere, having too many relationships, in terms of, trying to understand the person or, experimenting can really confuse a person?
Yes, definitely. And that's also, once again, why it's really important to know what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, then you become the toy of other people. And I think especially women, we're not trained anywhere in our upbringing to actually define what would I like and how do I stand by it and how do I stick to it even though I may meet some resistance. We're not trained to that. So you need to train yourself in saying what is important for me, signaling it in a nice and considerate way, but also being quite clear. There was one interesting thing that happened with many of the men that I was in contact with. They said, it's so good to meet a woman who knows what she wants. And I was like, oh, why is that good? Well, because I've met a number of women and they don't know what they want. And then it's really difficult for me to make her happy if she doesn't know what she wants. But with you, if I give you what you want, then you become happy. You may even give me a little praise, and then I become happy. And I said, yeah, sure. So, a direct, considerate communication between men and women is really, really important.
Wonderful. And I would like to add here to my listeners that please do make a visit to modernloveandsex.com. Those people who are seeking some kind of relationship guidance. Our guest, Pauline, is a love coach. She can help you out a lot in your relationship by organizing a few talking sessions with her over the Skype. And of course, you can get a very good coach because this has come from her own life experiences. Miss Pauline, it was really, really wonderful, connecting with you, getting so much of insight that people like you, can go into this kind of a thing.